Hey guys, I'm having fun with words today. Um, okay, so influenza, right? What's really interesting about the word influenza, which is also known as the flu, um, it suddenly occurred to me today that influence um, and influencia, very interesting because they pretty much sound the same, and influencia and influenza influenza sound exactly the same. Very interesting that the most famous history or case of the flu, it was actually called the Spanish flu. And I think it's very interesting that nobody called that racist before, but anyway, whatever. They're also saying that it was an H1N1 and it was genes of avian origin. Well, how do we know that? We don't know that. Very interesting, though, that when you translate influence into Spanish, you get influenza, which sounds a lot like the influenza. Okay, now what else is really interesting about this? Well, what was the first case of the flu? Hey, hang on a second. The Spanish flu was the first case of the flu, and it killed 500 million people, or 1/3 of the world's population came infected with that virus. Now, what's really interesting about this particular situation is that almost to the date, almost exactly 100 years later, we're dealing with another interesting situation. And what seems really interesting about this is it seems to be that people are conflating the numbers. And what's really interesting is part of this is being is happening in social media and in the mainstream media. Now, what's something that's very interesting in social media? It's a term that maybe a few people have heard of, but maybe a lot of you wouldn't be thinking about this right now. But influencers. Huh, what the heck is an influencer? Well, influencers are people who help sell ideas and products. And let's look here. Brands turn to micro influencers for promotion during COVID-19. What's an influencer? Well, probably that idiot, what was it? It was like this stroller looking face mask, Mashable Toronto. Okay, this is probably gonna get me some. Oh no, not. Oh, this is it. The face shield. This guy and this company, they would be influencers, right? So what am I getting at here? Well, I don't know, probably nothing, but isn't it interesting that they all sound the same? I find etymology very interesting. I find it very interesting that an influenza killed 500 million people worldwide in the first only ever history of something called an influenza or influencia. And here we are exactly 100 years later having some interesting viral marketed pandemic spread across the land by influencers. I don't know. Just saying. Not saying. Just saying.